Hello, friends, family. Welcome to another episode of Hear Me Out, a place where we're doing our best to have relevant and meaningful conversations that are helpful not only for myself, but hopefully for the viewers and listeners. And so if you have a conversation, a topic you'd like us to address, subscribe, comment below, let us know, and we'll be sure to do our best to make sure that conversation takes place. This week, I'm super excited. We've got Super Bowl champion, 8-year NFL vet, Usama Young, joining us. We talk about everything from family dynamics to what it was like on that Saints Super Bowl team, playing against Peyton Manning in Hard Rock Stadium, to life after football and what that transition was like. A lot of guys struggle with that, playing football their entire lives and then trying to enter a career after football. What's that like for guys, and how did he do that? And he shed some light on the financial initiative that they're doing in the NFL Player Engagement Office. Really interesting conversation. I hope you guys enjoy. Comment your thoughts below. Let me know. Hope you guys enjoy another week. Again, this is the Hear Me Out podcast. All right. Joined today by Usama Young, Super Bowl champion, 8-year NFL vet, husband, father. Usama, we've been trying to make this happen for so long. I feel like I'm glad we're finally connecting. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir, man. It's been a journey, and I know your schedule, man. You're in the middle of training camp right now, and your end season is my end season. And your off season is my end season as well. So it's been a little hectic, but we made it happen. Appreciate you having me, bro.
No, it's great, man. Talking about training camp a little bit. What can you tell us a little bit about your time in the NFL? Obviously got that Super Bowl ring, but what were some of maybe the other highlights of your career? I know you played 8 years. Tell us a little bit about that.
Starting off with training camp, I immediately go to Hot Millsaps College, and that's in Jackson, Mississippi. I didn't know it could get any hotter than New Orleans and any muggier than New Orleans, but we were able to survive, man. But training camp was just one of those. It was a reality check for me. Coming out of Kent State, I had never seen competition consistently like that. In New Orleans, we were built with it. I mean, Marcus Colston at receiver and Reggie Bush at the running back spot, but also having Drew Brees, one of the best QBs ever. He threw everybody open. Even if they were covered, this dude will find a way to get it to them. So being a cornerback, that was a nightmare every day, but it was just a dream come true to be able to experience on a daily basis.
We've I don't know what it is. We've had a little bit of a heat flash here in Orange County, and it was so muggy this past week. We had 6 practices in a row, and there were probably 3 or 4 of them that had a heat index right around 100. Nothing like Louisiana, I'm sure, but for us, man, we're used to that ocean breeze, that nice weather. So I imagine that was tough. Did you guys have 2-a-days at all when you were playing, or did that get negotiated out?
Yeah, man. Times changed a little bit. So I got to see the earlier parts of the 2-a-days from my rookie year up until the initial CBA renegotiation. But we had 2-a-days. Then we would have one practice and a special team practice. So the 2-a-day and then a 1-a-day, but it will be a special team practice. And as you know, being that you're a 4-core guy, on that special teams practice, it's full speed ahead. Now your starters can sit off on the side and just sip their water and Gatorade, but as a special team, it's all day nonstop, man. So that was the life.
I'll tell you one thing too about I've noticed, at least in my first 2 years playing, is those special teams period are sometimes some of the more competitive periods, because you have all these bubble guys, all these free agents, and that's how they're going to make the team. And so you've got the second practice of the day, and these guys are just going at it, huh?
Oh yeah. You know the deal. And I learned how to practice over time. But in my first couple years, being that guy that was new to it, that was learning, I was going all out as well. But after about year 3, 4, 5, I started to understand. Okay, you can pick your battles. You know when you're going up against one of those bubble guys, and you tone it down a little bit.
Yeah. No doubt. The NFL is extremely tough. And I think one thing I've learned with my wife this first year, well, one, we moved out to, Orange County, Los Angeles, and she was 38 weeks pregnant. So we had our first child on the way. And I know a little bit of the difficulty of getting on here has been you're a family man too, man. And you've got those kids, and the times we've tried to connect, man, you've had dad duties. And so
Yeah.
tell us a little bit. I guess I'm more interested. I know it's tough to play in the NFL. What was that like having a family and playing 8 years in the NFL? What were some of the things, you guys learned as a family unit?
You know what? I was able to prepare for it, man. I didn't have a family while I was playing. So I
Oh,
transitioned
wow.
into the space, and I was a single guy. And when I say single, I mean not married. I had
Yeah.
my girlfriend who is now
Uh-huh.
my wife, but I did not have children at the time. And not having children, which I always looked at the family men on the team and admired how they could have that time and prioritize and then go back field and practice and study and prepare in a way like no other. But it's like it's preparation for your life after the game. Because while you're playing, you have this job. And most people don't see it as a job. They see it as you
Mm.
go out and play a sport. But
Yeah.
it takes a lot of preparation. It takes a lot of discipline and being able to prioritize is the number one thing. But I watched them in my last year, I ended up getting injured pretty badly. I tore my ACL,
Mm.
MCL, LCL, and hamstring off the bone. So that was an ugly one, and I wasn't able to bounce back. I eventually had my baby girl, and I called her my ACL baby, Aria, and I wasn't able to come back after that. So having children, she didn't get to see me play. I listened to her on her her virtual school session yesterday, and she chimed in and said, "My daddy plays with the NFL." And I was like, her mommy's like, "No, he doesn't. He's washed up, baby girl."
What's your wife's name?
Gia.
Gia. When did you guys get married? Did you guys get married after you were done playing?
No, so we got married in 2012, and we dated. We dated throughout high school, and well, my senior year in high school.
Mm-hmm.
She went up to Albany playing basketball as a student athlete, so she knew the schedule, she knew the commitment, knew what it took, and she's a star in her own right. I got her jersey up on the wall as well. But then the transition after she stopped playing ball, she wanted to go into teaching. She wanted to go into social work. So she continued on, got her master's degree. But then we eventually had our first child. Now we have two, Zion and Arya. So we cover A to Z. And now she's making sure the home front is taken care of, making sure the babies are well schooled. I see my baby genius, and I know that's all on Gia right there. It's not me.
You lucked up then in this COVID stuff. You got a teacher in the house. I know a lot of parents are struggling.
Yo, if I show you the room downstairs that we do, that is her school, I mean, it's so many little things that she does, to little tricks to help her memorize she's only in kindergarten, but I mean the reading that we do, we're reading books, and she's doing math problems that I know I wasn't doing at her age. But that's the benefit of having a teacher in the home.
Mm. Was that tough? I know you played for three different teams. You played for the Browns, the Saints, and then was the other team?
Ended it with the Raiders.
We don't like the Raiders, man.
I
Divisional
understand.
rivals, man. We don't get along with those guys.
Oh, I'm not going to show you the other jersey.
Yeah. What was that difficult? Did she move with you when you went from team to team? I know that's a struggle a lot of couples come in contact with, is guys just get moved around, and three teams in 8 years, like some would consider you blessed. I've known guys that have 8 different teams in 8 years. Like, what maybe is some advice? I don't know how you guys went about that and handled that.
So the first few years were good because I was in New Orleans. She was finishing up school. She went back to get her degree, her master's degree. But then when I went to Cleveland, that's when we started to move. Wherever I was playing, that's where she would go. And we had our home in Charlotte. Now, the dynamic, and that's a longer story, but I'll tell you that one. I was playing in New Orleans in 2009, and we played Carolina. So we took the trip to Carolina for a couple of days. Her mother, now my mother-in-law, lived in Kannapolis. We went to her house, myself, the DBs. We went to her house. We ate a good meal before the game.
Good meal.
looked at the signs in her neighborhood, and it was something ridiculous. Homes from the hundreds or something like that. And I said, hold on, this is a nice little area right here. And I'm from DC. It doesn't happen too often that you see homes from the hundreds, 150s, whatever it is. So I said, this off season, let's look into this. So we started looking around. I was looking around for a home to, settle down in the off season. Every other off season, I was going back to my parents' house in Maryland, DC area. And I saw that home. Well, I saw homes. Her mother helped us. We found one in Charlotte, and that was our off season home from then on. Now, when I made the move to Cleveland, we would go up to Cleveland along with, at the time, we had a dog named Leo, which we still have, and some turtles, Michelangelo and Donatello. And we put them in the back of the truck, and we rode on up the road to Cleveland, rode up 77, got to Cleveland. We were there for 2 years. Cleveland cut me in the off season. I had surgery in the off season. I thought I would come back to Cleveland. I drove up again. I cleared my physical, and this is the down part of the NFL business. As soon as I cleared my physical, I got back to our condo, and they give me a call saying, we no longer need your services. So we go head on back to Charlotte, and then I get the call from the Raiders, and they say, let's make this thing happen. And we fly on out to Oakland eventually, and that's the in-season home. So all-season home Charlotte, in-season home wherever I was playing for the last part of my career or experience. I hate saying career because, the NFL experience, it isn't a career. It doesn't last a lifetime.
It does not, no. For her, was that difficult? I mean, would she like find a teaching job and then, have to leave that job? Like, what was that like for her?
You know what? She was doing like part-time work. I remember when, and that was her thing. Everyone looks at the NFL wife or the NFL girlfriend as someone who can, they can just sit back and live their life. And sure, some can or some want to, but she's a worker. She wanted to do something. And I still remember her taking on part-time jobs here and there, saying, hey, I'm going to work at Victoria's Secret, and this is going to be something that I'm going to do in the off season. Some people might look like, what is she doing there? Why is she working there? Her husband is a millionaire, because that's the general perception or misconception. And they look at you one way, and ultimately we both were just like, whatever. So what? We're going to live our life the way we want to live our lives, and you deal with it.
I find a lot of similarities in our narratives. I think Jackie is like, I don't want to ever have to depend on like your income or your salary. She's like, I have like dreams and ambitions too. And like, we're working through, making sure that she can do those as well. And I think that's the common misconception, right? Is like, you're an NFL wife or you're an NFL girlfriend, you've just got the life. But a lot of times they're people too. They have things they want to do too. And navigating that with the NFL is tough. And I think we went to this thing called Pro Athletes Outreach Conference, and there was like 250 couples there. And I'm sure you know about it with the NFLPA, but to hear like older wives get on the stand and talk about their experiences, and then former players get up there and talk about their experience, it was super rewarding for rookies in the league like Jackie and I. Just hear from their experience. And so I appreciate you sharing a little bit about that. I want to get to that jersey behind you.
Before we go to that, PAO, I love PAO, man. So for I'm gonna say 3 years straight, I was there. Then I started advocating and sponsoring different couples, man. So yeah, that's cool to hear that you benefited from it, and I'm sure several more have that same story. That's cool.
Yeah, Thomas Davis and his wife Kelly Davis were the ones who sponsored Jackie and I this year. So
good stuff.
We're gonna have to pay it forward this year and sponsor another couple, hopefully. But it was pretty cool, because you don't hang around those people all the time. Like they're your opponents during the year, and to come together and see, man, wow, what a body of believers we have here in the NFL, and for everybody to come together for something outside of football and just kind of have community. It was super cool.
Oh yeah, man. I'm with you. But what jersey you talking about, man?
Tell me about that season, man. Tell me about that. That's a dream. That's what we all are striving for.
Yeah. You alluded to it at first when you brought up, training camp, New Orleans, my rookie year. And when I think about that team that I was introduced to, like I said, I came from Kent State. And I watched Josh Cribbs, who you might be familiar with. Those listening may be familiar with. He was one of the best athletes I'd ever seen and competed against in high school and then in college to be on his team. He was a quarterback, but he was like crazy athlete. Josh didn't get drafted to the NFL. And myself, I went to Kent State, not necessarily saying that I'm going to be a big fish in a small pond, but I said, you know what, I'm going to start 4 years and eventually I'm going to get to the NFL. That's the plan. That's how I see this working out. And fortunately, God blessed me with that opportunity. I got to the NFL. And like I said before, I was introduced to another type of culture. I saw Drew Brees as a great leader. Saw Colston as a great leader, Lance Moore. And then I go into our defense and I think of Jonathan Vilm, I think of Roman Harper, Darren Sharper, Jabari Greer, young guys like Tracy Porter, now leading their teams, Malcolm Jenkins. And we had a just team full of talent that was full of leaders, but at the same time knew their roles and knew how to follow. And I think that's unique. What Mickey Loomis did, and the entire organization building that team. And I mean, they're still competing, of course, with Drew Brees at the helm. But it was one of those things for me that was just exceptional to experience and to grow as a leader. Because I came in as a young, wide-eyed rookie. I could tell you some stories. I acted a fool. For a few years, I was pulling out. It was New Orleans. I had never experienced that. So I partied hard. I laughed. I joked. I drunk. I did some stupid stuff. But at the same time, when I got into that facility, hey, wake up, bro. Come on, step it up. Hey, fix that. And throughout my years, I continued to develop, to grow, and I turned into one of those locker room leaders. But to experience that trip, we went to Miami, and I still remember Sean Payton. We had our speech, throughout the week, and he's just like, "Hey, we've won this thing already. We've won this thing throughout the 21 weeks that we worked." And from training camp and on and into the playoffs, we've won this thing already. Let's go out. Let's do the same thing we've been doing. Let's hit the field. And we went out there full pads in Miami in week 22, and we went to work. But to experience it and have my family be a part of it, from my brothers, I've got 5 older brothers, my little sister, mom, pops, girlfriend at the time, now wife. Like, it was an amazing experience, man. And to be able to enjoy it with them, that was something that, I mean, I can't write over again. And the year before, I was able to be in a Super Bowl commercial with my dad. And at the end, I said, "Hey, and now I'm in the Super Bowl." Like, it's just a commercial, kid. And in the next year, we go on. So only God could write that.
Amen, bro. Who was the quarterback of the Colts at the time? Was it Peyton?
Sure. And so a story on that, and I mean, I know you probably got a time limit to this podcast, man. But
no, let's keep it going.
I got in as a third-year guy. I had been moved to safety. I was a cornerback coming out.
So you came in as a wideout.
I played in this. I came in as a cornerback.
Okay, I thought you said wideout. I was like, he played 3 positions. This man was an athlete.
I mixed it up telling the story about Josh Cribbs, this crazy athlete, and who was our quarterback at Kent State. But I got drafted as a cornerback to New Orleans. And my first 2 years, I was a cornerback. My third year, Greg Williams, our defensive coordinator, comes to me. He says, "Hey, you're a good player, good cornerback, but I feel like your ceiling is going to be here at safety. Are you down to make that move?" Of course. I ain't going to say no. DC asked me to make a move. You want me to hold, take a snap? You want me to be the holder? Whatever it is, I'm going to do it. You want me to punt? I'll punt. So I make that transition to safety in the entire year. I play free safety, strong safety, nickel, dime, whatever spots they want me to play, I play. But I don't touch corner throughout the year. Well, on like the third series of the game, Jabari Greer, I see him dislocate his finger. As soon as I see him take a knee, I run out. Jabari, I got you. This is me.
In the Super Bowl?
This is what I do, man. I'm like, hey, I get a chance. I'm going to seize the day. So that's what I'm thinking, at least. So I run out. Jabari, I got you. Go out, get it the cornerback spot. We call a little man-to-man coverage. Go one play, I'm good. Next play, we call zone. I'm good. Third play, Sheriff gets under center. Peyton Manning gets under center. He's looking at me. I'm trying to disguise a little bit, so I'm looking at him. As soon as I take a glance at him, snap, and I miss my jam with my guy, Pierre Garçon.
Wait, so he was looking at you, and you didn't think he was going to snap it?
Yes, he's in shotgun. Peyton is doing his ice cream, ready, red, 18, blah, blah, whatever. And next thing you know, boop, snaps the ball. As soon as I take my little peek, Pierre zooms past me, touchdown.
Oh, no.
You talk about being on top of the world and then wanting to bury myself at that moment. I wanted to just hide, man, just hide. And I look at my safety, Rome. I'm like, Rome, what's up? Because I'm thinking he was supposed to have my back. He's looking at me like,
were you guys in Tampa too?
Were you guys running? We were in the double. We were in the double. It wasn't Tampa. It was in the double. But it was still on me, because if I'm in that double, I gotta get a jam on the guy, and I gotta funnel him toward the safety, and I didn't do that. So with that being said, I gave up the TD. I looked at Rome because I wanted him to make the play, even though I messed up. And going back to the sideline, I was defeated, bro. Defeated. And you know how it is when you give up a touchdown. You know it's on you. But more so, this is the biggest game and the world is watching. But next thing you know, Tracy Porter comes over. Hey, bro, you got it. We good. Vilma comes over. Pick your head up, man. We got you. You good. We're going to be all right. And everybody's coming over like, just picking me back up. I'm like, yeah, we're going to be all right. We end up, rolling. We end up rolling. Onside kick. We recover it after the half. One of the greatest plays ever to be a part of. And we win that game, and the celebration is unreal. And
you guys won it in the fourth quarter, too. You were down going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, man. It was a fun one. It was a fun one. Emotional roller coaster, though, man. Up and down.
Yeah. Were there like defining qualities of that team that were different than any of the other, two teams you played on, but 7 teams when you talk about a team on a year-to-year basis?
I'll say the one thing, and I'll just own the defensive side of the ball. And I talked about it briefly when I talked about leaders throughout. We had a leader, and it was more than one at different levels, but we had a leader on the D-line in Will Smith. And rest in peace. Will was tragically killed years ago. We had a leader in the linebacker room in Jonathan Vilma, one of the greatest leaders I've seen and played alongside. And then in the back end, we had 2 strong leaders in Roman Harper and Darren Sharper, both playmakers in their own right. Both could do it all. Both could set the field and just communicate to a T. And that was like the standard. They set the standard. They made sure that guys were in position. They made sure that guys prepared. And I still remember having defensive meetings. Like, we would go out to a restaurant and have a good time, eat, have fun, just fellowship. And then after dinner, we'd go over to a teammate's house and we'll all watch film. We'll watch game film. We'll watch practice film. We'll chill out. And I mean, this isn't like 2-3 guys. No, I'm talking about 10 people. 10 people just doing the extra work and preparing and having a good time and clowning one another, because when you get beat, you get clowned about it. And that's the unique thing about football is everybody gets it. Nobody is going to have
everybody gets it, man.
Everybody gets it. So it's cool, man. But that was what I would say stood out to me. And I look at all of my, teams and locker rooms that I've shared. And not to say anything was bad about Cleveland or anything was bad about Oakland, but when it came to just that camaraderie, that level of just sharing the experience together, it was no place like New Orleans.
What made those guys such, when you say great leaders, and it sounds like you guys had positional leaders, like within the leadership of the team, you guys had leaders at each position.
Mhm.
Kind of reminds me of, like, the military, how you'd have commanding officers and then platoon officers and so forth. What made them great leaders when you say great leaders?
I'll say, because everyone has their own leadership style, and I'm not one to say that my leadership style is right or your leadership style is right. But now I have, and I have to always like put things into perspective with a story. I have a group of young leaders that I meet with every week. Now we meet via Zoom, and we get on and we discuss how life is going. We discuss goal setting. We might even discuss financial literacy. But when I get on these calls, I ask these guys, "Hey, what's on your mind? How are you doing? How's your family? Okay. What about your goals for this week? What are you trying to accomplish? How are you trying to accomplish them? Can I do anything to help you?" And and I take that into account when I look back at that team, and I'll say a guy like a Will Smith or a guy like a Jonathan Vilma, and I see those guys, and I remember them saying, "Hey, come stay in this meeting room with me. Let's watch some film together." And I take it back to my high school experience where, yeah, I was one of the best players on the team, but I always said, you know what? This guy isn't as good as me, but I want him to catch some extra punts after practice with me. Or I want him to do some releases. This wide receiver, do some releases, work with me a little bit, and we can fine tune those skills. And I think at every level, we had those type of leaders. And I didn't even go to the true X factor on offense and a guy like Drew, who's always going to get extra reps in after practice, who's always going to be the last one leaving the building or the first one in the building. But Vilma, he was a competitor. So guess what? He wanted to beat Drew in. He wanted to beat Drew in the building. He wanted to leave after after Drew left. And then it got to the point where even at practice, when they set the ball, these guys are racing to get to the ball on the D line and linebackers. And you see it, you know how it is.
We
It's
do it
right.
every practice, man. Go step on that ball first.
Yes, yes. So it's one of those things where that leader sets that tone, and that leader sets that standard. And if you don't meet it, they're not afraid to call you out. So I've been called out by those guys, and I've taken initiative and said, you know what? I might not have that C on my chest, but I can do the same thing. But I'm empowered by them, and a lot of times guys don't typically know their roles, but in that sense, they knew their role. They knew what they were there for. They knew why they were brought in, whether they were drafted there or they were brought in as free agents, and they accepted it. And I think at times, leaders, or I say leaders in quotes because they might not be the best at what they do. Sometimes they don't know how to bring that next person up. They just know how to tell them, hey, let's do it. You got to do this. You got to do that. But it's something special about a guy that can motivate others to get on that level or achieve even higher than what they wanted to, or even thought they could.
Yeah, you listed off a ton of, like, great leaders. I feel like you're a great leader in and of yourself. I mean, you've got the Believe in You Foundation, I believe,
Yes.
and you're doing some amazing stuff with the PA. I guess I want to transition a little bit out of football and kind of into that period when guys say, for you, it was an injury, a knee injury that kept you from coming back. But for some guys, they reach a point and they're like, either maybe lost some passion for the game or maybe just ready to move on to that next stage in their life. But you hear so many stories of guys struggling to move on from football and transition out of football because, for me, it's something I've done since I was 5 or 6 years old. And to, play hopefully, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, you're removed from your degree, you're removed from college. Everybody else has gone into industry, gotten that experience, and here you are. Yeah, you had a great thing going on, but it's so temporary. What was kind of your mindset when you were transitioning out of football? And obviously it didn't end the way you wanted to with a knee injury. How were you able to move on? Was it the Believe in You? Was it your role with the PA now? What kind of helped you move out of football?
Man, that's another one that it'll take a little bit of time for me to to dive in on.
Let's dive in.
All right. Well, first, when you're playing the game, like you said, you're so used to it. You've been playing it all your life. And whether you see yourself as just a football player or you know that you're even more than a football player, you've put in so much time to achieve in this field. Now, myself, and I know you said PA, I work with the NFL in player engagement. And when I got to the NFL, each team that I was on had a director of player engagement that was valuable to my transition or my success and not only on the field but off the field as well. So in New Orleans, I started out with a guy named Fred McAfee. Call him Fast Freddy. Fast Freddy was like the mayor. This dude, he played no, I'm sorry. He's going to be mad if he listens to this. He played about 15 years in the league and then transitioned to the space of the director of player engagement. Their role is to support the player and their families in the transition. So they support us in terms of the move in terms of time management, in terms of providing us with resources from the NFL, providing us with resources from the NFLPA. And as a player, you value that, but at the same time, sometimes you get tunnel vision. You don't even think about it. Your guy out there, Hightower, he's vital. He's vital to a lot of guys' success and being there.
I love that guy, man. He's awesome.
Yes.
I play him in chess. Hey, we'll go back and forth. We played so many games of chess last year, man. He's great. He's a great leader. He's a great leader. He finds ways to connect with those rookies. But continue.
Yeah, for sure. So I had that in my rookie year, but I continued to utilize that resource throughout. And even when I left as a free agent, I went on to Cleveland. Then I linked up with a guy named Aaron Shea, who was in the same role. Then I linked up with another guy in Lamont Winston in Oakland, one of the OGs in the game. Lamont, I still remember, I fractured my neck in my 7th season. On Thanksgiving Day, we're playing against the Cowboys. I go and try and hit a guy low, DeMarco Murray. I hit him low. I don't get the shoulder across, head across, near leg, near shoulder. I'm out, fractured neck. I don't come back. That offseason, I'm in a brace, 3 months in a brace. Lamont gives me a call. How are you doing? I don't know if I'm going to be back in the football. I'm doing well. I'm coping. I'm hoping this thing heals up. That's it. Lamont says, man, well, I got you. If you need anything, let me know. And I felt good. The next year, blow out the knee. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, man, what am I going to do? I just broke my neck, and it was fortunate that I was able to come back from that. But now I messed up my knee, and it was another reality check that this game of football can be taken away at any time. I've been taking job shadows, interning, running my foundation, providing the same leadership to these youth. And I'm trying to do as much as possible to pour into others. And right now I'm feeling like I'm just lost. At the time, I didn't hear from the NFL. I didn't hear from the NFLPA. The next thing you know, Lamont gives me a call and says, what's going on? How you doing? It's like, man, I'm struggling right now. I'm mad right now. I haven't heard from anybody. I would have thought, you guys would have called me because the Raiders signed me to an extension after I broke my neck. And I came back and played a year. And I was like, dang on. Then the Raiders said, 2 straight. We got to let you go in the middle of my contract. So I was mad. I was frustrated. My body couldn't get over this hump. My mind couldn't push through like it had been. And I was in a dark space. Even though I knew I could do so much more than football, I wasn't ready yet. And Lamont brought me out of that and said, hey, now, you're mad and everything. What you going to do about it? Good point. I called up the PA at the time. Called up the guys at the PA. I think it was Don Davis at the time. I called up Don. We talked for a little bit. He's like, man, you know what? That's good that you called. We got this thing going on right now where we're trying to help. We're trying to assist in this rapid transition. Guys that are like you that immediately are moving on from the game. You're probably not going to come back. And, I say, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. I'll go to DC and visit the NFLPA office, and we'll talk about, my benefits. We'll talk about some of the things that a guy like me has in store for, resources that they provide. But we also had a brainstorming session, things that could be provided to players, things that could support players throughout their experience in the NFL and beyond. And they took that to another level. They continued to provide programming, and I myself had my baby girl, which was another thing that brought me up, brought me out of that hole and reminded me that I've got so much responsibility now to make sure that this baby girl sees her dad as a champ and knows that he loves her, knows that he's going to continue to push her. Because if I push her, I can't sit back and mope. I can't sit back and just think that everyone else is gonna look out for me. I stayed prayed up. I embraced that fatherhood role, and I also said, how can I assist the guys that might go in with and deal with what I just now dealt with? And that's when I got the opportunity to be at the league office and player engagement. And now I'm able to provide those same resources to the next in line. Guys like yourself that eventually, now I hope you have a illustrious career. Take it back. Illustrious experience that goes on 10 plus years, Pro Bowl, Super Bowl, all the accolades, man of the year, whatever it is that you can achieve. I pray that you can achieve that. But even if you do, we want you to be prepared for that next life. And we want you to know that we support you through it all. And that's not just you, that's your family as well. So now I'm able to provide that servitude, be a servant in the player engagement space, be a servant as believing you, and be a servant as a father and husband. And I love it, but at the same time, it was tough, man. It was tough to get to this position now where I can sit back and look and say, all right, yeah, daddy's washed, but daddy's gonna show you how to run, baby girl. Daddy's gonna help mommy teach you. Daddy's gonna love up on you and do the same for your son. I mean, for your brother, and push him. So it's one of those things that I look back on. I can't just sit back and do nothing. I have to continue to strive, continue to grow, and I'm able and fortunate to do it with not only the foundation but the job that I have now.
You're continuing to run that race with endurance, man. I love it.
I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, man.
Talk a little bit about what you guys mentioned, like a financial literacy initiative, helping guys with that. I think that's so important and something I'm super interested in, because you're taking a group of, 20-something-year-olds and giving them a lot of money, some of which, for me, I didn't necessarily have a ton of money growing up, and you're suddenly giving these guys hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions of dollars. And it's like, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know where to start. And so a lot of these guys, the paradigm is you hire a financial advisor. And I think it's no knock to financial advisors, but at some point along the way, I think guys probably just put a ton of trust in their FAs and don't actually learn it for themselves. And they find themselves after their career, trying to figure things out themselves. What are you guys doing with that initiative to help guys along that path of understanding finances? Because it's different. It's like when you actually have it, it's like it can be stressful, man. Taxes, like it's a process.
It's so funny that you say that, because I just had this call with one of my colleagues. I was like, man, I've just taken on this role in the last 4 or 5 months, and I had to do my research on what was already provided. And I said, man, this is a robust program already. We offer budgeting. We offer insight on budgeting. We offer insight on credit, on debt management, on investing, on dealing with family and friends. That's probably one of the toughest, the toughest things to do. When, of course, you alluded to, you said, like, we got a whole bunch of money that comes in, and guess what? A lot of family and new friends start to come around. But we deal with educating on estate planning, benefits. When you first got in, you might not have been married. And guess what? Your benefits are set up in a way that the money would go to your parents. Not everybody has a great relationship with their parents. And if you don't update that, you might be in a world of trouble if something were to happen And next thing you know, this money goes here and your wife doesn't get to touch anything. Your children don't get anything from it. But it's an education process. And right now, I'm tasked with building it out. I'm tasked with evolving it. And one thing that I thought about and how we got in touch, it was so funny. I was looking for guys, legends, guys that finished the game, moved on, transition, and were in the space to provide insight to guys like yourself. And then I said, you know what? We got some current guys that are doing it already. I didn't go to Notre Dame, but it's funny. I talked to Justin Tuck, who's at Goldman Sachs. And then next thing you know, I talked to Jalen Smith's representation, and then I get in touch with you. And it's just so wild how things have worked out. And now I'm like, okay, we can continue to build this thing out so that we can find the specific people that are going to meet the players where they're at and provide them with the knowledge that will help them succeed financially, but more so in their total wellness. Because I do know, hey, look, I don't value the dollar to an extent to where it pushes me to this is the only thing. But I do know how comfortable it is to say, hey, I can pay for my daughter to go to this private school and not have to worry about when the next check is coming in. Or I can go out to eat at this restaurant and not have to worry about where the check came in. Or you know what? I know this auto pay is set up on this mortgage and we're good to go. But having that budget set up early on, that's where the main focus is. We got to get guys to not just be aware of it, but utilize it. Start to look into how this statement looks and where this money is going. If you do hire a financial advisor, do your due diligence, providing them with the questions to ask. Not just listening to potentially your agent who tells you to sign with someone or someone else in your circle, but doing the research that's going to be necessary for you to succeed. And I think in all of those elements, like I just said, from budgeting to credit to investing to estate planning, it all falls in line, but it's all part of our programming that goes on. And it starts as a rookie. And this year we'll be providing it to the second and third year players at certain clubs. But it's a pilot right now, and we want to continue to expand on it, but we want it to meet the needs, meet the players' needs.
You said it was a robust program, I guess, as we close here. What are some of the needs you're finding out still need to be addressed? What's some of the feedback you've gotten from players, or maybe in your own experience where you're like, wish I had this when I was playing, or wish I knew this when I was playing?
And one thing I'll say is understanding credit. I was a young guy that came into the league, and I did have a credit card in college, and I paid it off. But when I got into the space of purchasing my first home, I had a low credit score, and I didn't understand why. Now I dealt with some identity theft things that happened. I dealt with one thing that happened where I moved from from an apartment in New Orleans, and it was a credit that what's it called when they collections. I went in under collections and had no clue about it because I just moved from New Orleans, went to Cleveland, and was living life, but I didn't perform a credit check and I didn't dispute that. And next thing you know, I'm purchasing a home and I got this crazy interest rate. And I'm like, why is my credit score so low? Now I got to take the necessary steps to build that back up. And having an understanding of that, something that simple, and we could easily go over credit and the importance of credit. And if you want to not only purchase a home, but you might be interested in entrepreneurship, you might be interested in real estate. It's so many things that fall in line with that. So credit is a huge thing. Also the budgeting aspect. Living below your means. So many guys think that these checks are going to continue to come in after they're done with playing in the NFL, and they purchase as if they are. And oftentimes it's led by watching guys like, and I'll say his name because it's not a bad thing, but Thomas Davis has played for 15 years. Mm-hmm. The rookies can't do what Thomas Davis does in terms of purchases. The young guys in the locker room will try to, though. They'll try to keep up with the Joneses. They'll try to do those things and boast on Instagram, stunt on Instagram and all that, do the private jets and stuff, and you're not there. And that's one of the other things that we got to talk about, and we got to use players that have gone through it to relay that information. I might be seen as an old guy when I go up to some of these rookies. Now, having a guy like yourself that understands that concept, that might say, you know what, let me speak some words of wisdom in him. Let me provide Drew with a sound presentation that he can make his own and provide and pass that on and present to the young guys in that locker room and see how beneficial it is. But budgeting, credit, and keeping up with the Joneses, or dealing with the family and friends, those are the huge things that are initially brought up, or were initially brought up when I talk to players.
Yeah, and my conversations in our rookie symposium with the Chargers is I really felt for the guys who said, yeah, I've got mom and pops at home, or uncles or friends from school asking me for $3,000 here, $4,000 here, $5,000 there, and feel a certain responsibility to provide as the village leader, as the family leader. And I felt for those guys, because I can imagine how difficult that is to have to engage in those conversations with your parents of, these checks aren't going to be coming forever. And at some point, it's like, it's a simple process. If you run the math of like, man, if I could just live below my means now and put this away, like the thing of compounding interest is so powerful, but it takes so much discipline. So you talk about keeping up with the Joneses. It's tough when everybody around you has a $20,000 gold chain or drives a Range Rover or a Challenger, whatever it might be. And like, that's like the standard is like, I kind of want that too. Like, I'm driving my wife's, 2016 Altima to work, and I'm like pulling in, my brakes are squeaking a little bit, and I'm like, I need to get a nice car or something.
That's why that's why we're here. So quick story on my rookie year. In my first 2 years, I had a 2000 Altima. 2000 Altima that I drove down from Kent State to New Orleans. Everybody was clowning me throughout my rookie year, throughout my second year, like, when are you gonna get a new car? When are you gonna stop driving your girl's car? That was the joke. When are you gonna stop driving your girl's car? Well, when we made it to the Super Bowl, product placement, Porsche had the new Panamera out front the hotel. I had playoff checks that it came in, had my Super Bowl bonus.
Super Bowl check.
Exactly. Had a player performance bonus. It's time. After my third year, I went ahead and got that purchase. Now, the thing where I really do understand where players are coming from. You got your parents, you got your loved ones that you're trying to take care of. You got your boys, might be like your brothers that might get into trouble, might need some help, want to invest in something. But it's certain ways to go about that. And I've got some examples of guys that have invested in their boys and their partners, that things have went well. But we also got some of the things that went bad. And making sure that they got a true business plan, putting them in the right circle, and utilizing your platform to not always pay for things. Like, I'll be real, take advantage of the NFL, take advantage of being wearing that Chargers uniform. And so many connections will look out for you in a sense of, you know what? Oh, you need some help with this? I can help you with that. But have discernment and make sure you do make sure you take the right path in terms of how you do build out that circle. But you got your family dynamic, you got your business dynamic, and you got to go in with a sense of intelligence and knowledge. And with that, you got to do your research.
You were going to have to do this again sometime, man. This has been awesome.
I'm with it, man. I don't know how our schedule's going to line up. You're about to start the season, man.
I know. We'll have to get back together maybe on an off day or sometime in the future and chat again. But I appreciate your insight, man. And I'm certainly going to let you get back to your dad duties today. And I hope you have a great weekend. But thanks so much for sharing your stories. They certainly blessed me, and I hope they, bless our listeners here.
Yes, indeed, man. Thank you for having me. Hey, do your thing this season. Ball out, man. Look forward to watching you.
Hey, we'll see you. Thanks, man.